Mm.
Heat ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Yeah.
It is getting very hot.
Okay, I have to send out another one.
Okay. Whenever it is ready, you want to do it then?
Cut down the-
You're a shade here.
Yeah, I don't have any curtain there. Say, otherwise, unless you want to sit on this side, you can.
I can.
Okay, it doesn't make it. I'm not sure. Whatever is better for you. Then let me rearrange this thing.
This is not working.
Hmm?
You say the second one is not working?
You gave them that
The
new
video
one?
was not found at Pitra.
You gave them that new one?
Yeah, the new one. It works somehow.
Hmm.
Maybe this light.
Light ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
So that,
Bright ಆಗಿದೆ.
But actually, we have to see on the video. Because that's why even in the studios, they will always have the light on. Because for the camera, it may or may not. Okay, let's see. Yeah, see, from here it's actually better. With the light on,
Yeah.
you get a better reception. Okay, let me just go and find out if that link is working or not.
yeah, put it here. The Kerala. ಅವ್ರ ಹಾಕೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಟೀಕು ಬರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ.
ರಾಘವೇಂದ್ರ ಇರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಇದ್ದೇ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾರೆ.
ಅವ್ರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಅದು
ಹಾ?
ಇವರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು ಪಾಪ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ವೀಕ್ನೆಸ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರ ಟೇಕ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಾಮೂಹಿಕವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈಸಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಈ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ 30 ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟರೆ ಅದು 30 ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಒಂಥರ money generating for trees and butter because cooking is not much and effort is ಹೋಮ ಮಾಡೋದಷ್ಟೇ. ಬಟ್ he must have got ಯೋಗಿಂದ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ 50 into 25 30 ಹಾಕಿ 1500 ಡಾಲರ್ ಯಾರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ?
ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 7,000-8,000. ಈ ತರ 4 ದಿವಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 32,000
You're going to have to keep quiet. Whatever is happening here is actually being heard.
Oh, okay.
So whoever is logged on, they can hear whatever it is in this room.
Is it live?
Yeah.
Should we start?
Oh, hang on a minute. Let me just. She wants to send that link, and she's having a problem with that. Just give me one more minute.
Just I look to the camera. There is one.
None.
That's all from the question.
Okay. That's what I'd like to yeah. Vitamin House and Mata. They were saying it was not working. I'm just waiting for one person to say it's working.
I don't want to use the mic.
Yes, please, because whatever you're saying, that it's coming.
Use ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಸದ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
Checking.
One of this mic.
Working because I see on it.
So now, this one. Should be on.
You line up there now.
Yes, so you can start.
Let me start. Is it working? Narayanam Sadgurum Sigadekanatham Sapriyantakalokanavakutam Ch Trigunyavarshitam Adamdavamatyanisham Mande Bhavnam Marakavitavandam Narayana Paripurna Gunannamaya Vishwodaya Salarishakradaya Yarakradaya Gurudhashya Sukya Dukka Satkarnanta Namo Namaste Sarvamangalamangale Shive Sarvarthasadike Sharanye Shriyambake Devi Narayani Namaste Pratamo Hanumanande Advitiyo Himeva Putam Prakriti Bhagavatkara Sadhana Acharya Srimad-Acharya Santume Janma-Janmani Muko Yatrasade Namakundashanante Radharadaite Riksharabhi Brahmavashuje Vittharati Varatsvedam Buddham Patvadhayakam Vijnavadam Shantavidyati Gurupade Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hri Om Matruvaladharadhanaya Namaha Om Hri Om. This afternoon, basically, we are going to focus on Pitru related topics, starting with Pitrakarya, Pitra Paksha, and then I want to keep it open-ended. So if you have any questions anytime, either here in the live or in the through the internet medium, please feel free to ask anytime you want. So basically, let me start from the most basic. I'm not going to assume that any knowledge. So let me start with the most fundamental way of thinking. Our Shastras talk of three types of runas. Runa in Sanskrit means obligation or a loan. So the three runas are Pitru Runa, Rishi Runa, Deva Runa. So this is basically an obligation that one has towards Pitru Runa is towards your ancestors, forefathers. Deva Runa is towards the Devatas, who actually maintain your body, to support you, take care of you. And Rishi Runa is the Rishis who actually give the jnana. So this thing, I don't want to talk about Deva Runa and Rishi Runa. Let's focus on Pitru Runa. What exactly is Pitru Runa? Now, this is something which we don't need Shastra to tell us that. All of us have children. So let us look back in our lives and say, what are some of the things some of the sacrifices we had to make for our children? When the child is young, you're changing diapers, you're taking as a baby, you're feeding the baby. If it falls sick, you're worried sick, you run to the doctor, to the pediatrician. There's so much you do because the child in that state, in its infancy, is helpless and is completely dependent on you for its survival, for everything. So look at all the things that you did for your children. Now, just take one step back, look in the mirror and say, if I have done this for my children, obviously my parents have done this for me, right? So, and this is something which, if you just a little amount of reflection, common sense, you can look at, they have done so much for you in your life that you need to do something, you need to give it back in return. And that is, our Shastras have codified that and said this is Pitruruna. So Pitruruna is nothing exotic, it's basic common sense, that parents have done a lot of sacrifice for their children. And obviously the children have an obligation to return that to the parents. Now, it is just not the parents, so it could be other relatives, like for example, brothers, sisters, or uncles, aunts. So a lot of elders in the family have actually lent a hand in bringing up the child, and that is why they say that this Pitruruna is not just the Pitrus, but also the extended family of the person. Now, in fact, there is a Shruti Vakya that says that a son can be called a son only if it meets three conditions. One, when the parents are alive, he actually respects them, he listens to their word, and he shows them love and affection while they're alive. Obviously, this is again common sense. Second, when they are gone, he actually goes to Gaya or whatever and does the Pinda Pradana, and then he also does the annual Shraddha. So a son deserves to be called a son only if he meets these three characteristics, these three conditions. So this is what is basically the concept of Pitruruna. Now, there is also a concept called Devatas and Pitru Devatas. So let me explain what that means. And this is something which normally people get confused. When you say Pitru Devatas, we kind of mistake that with our ancestors. So our ancestors, in Sanskrit, the correct term is Pitrus. Our Pitru are basically, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, and so on and so forth. So these are our actual ancestors, our forefathers. They are Pitrus. But there is a separate class of devatas called Pitru Devatas who actually regulate or kind of oversee our Pitrus and make sure that whatever things we offer here are reaching our Pitrus. So this is a separate class of devatas as compared to just our Pitrus who are our ancestors. So whatever we are doing is basically propitiating or pleasing the Pitru Devatas, and in turn they take our offering because they don't want anything from us. Whatever we offer them, they actually make sure that our parents or whoever we intend to do this for gets the person intended gets the benefit. So this is how the whole thing works. Now there is a nice interesting story in the Harivansha Purana about the origin of these Pitru Devatas. And what happened is, when the beginning of creation, when Brahma Deva created the Devatas, he basically gave them a lot of knowledge. He gave them a lot of spiritual power, and then said, go and do spiritual things, spread the knowledge, spread philosophy. But what happened was the gods got intoxicated with the power, so they spent a lot of time in pleasure and generally having a good time, as they say in the verse. So this angered Brahmadeva, and so he cursed them and said, you lose all your knowledge because you have misused the knowledge I gave you. So when the gods heard this, they were very sad. They actually went back to Brahmadeva and showed that sorrow, repentance, and said, please give us back our knowledge. So Brahmadeva said, go back to your children, and your children will actually teach you this knowledge. This is something very unique in our Hindu philosophy. So when the gods went to their children, the children said, please come and they address them as Putra. Basically the children are talking to their parents. They say, dear children, listen, we will tell you about the knowledge. And so they actually gave them all the knowledge that they had got from Brahmadeva. Now the gods were kind of puzzled, and so they went back to Brahmadeva and said, "This doesn't make sense. They are our kids. They are our children. How come they are calling us as Putra?" Then Brahmadeva gave a very good explanation. He said, the word Pita in Sanskrit means two things. One is one who actually gives you birth, and second, one who actually gives you knowledge. So because you gave birth to them, got their Pitrus, but because they gave you knowledge, they are Pitrus. So the gods were very happy, and then Brahmadeva blessed the children and said, from now on, you should be called Pitru Devatas. And he gave them a portfolio of basically regulating or overseeing the departed souls. So they made a nice bifurcation. So the gods like Saraswati, Bharati, the Ganesha, Shiva, Parvati, these gods actually control the entire the cosmic, the Brahmanda or all the jivas in the universe while they are alive. So once they pass away and they move on to the this thing to heaven, they are actually then they come out of the influence or control of the Pitru Devatas. So there's a line of demarcation. Up to death, it's the Devatas, and after the death, it is basically the Pitru Devatas. And if you look at the Taittiriya Upanishad, it makes it very clear when it talks about it says, Deva Pitru Karyabhyam da Pramaditavyam. Pramaditavyam means basically don't make a mess of it, to put it in simple language. So when it comes to Devatas and Pitru Karyas, make sure that you pay the right importance and take it on the same footing and make sure that you give the right attention to both of them. So it puts both the Devata Karya and Pitru Karya on the same footing. It does not distinguish between them and say both are equally important because one is before death, one is after death. So you need to do both for the sake of the
What happens after 3 generations? Normally, after 3 generations, you don't do that finale.
No, okay, that's a good question. The question was for those who didn't hear. The question is what happens after 3 generations? Because we stop after 3 generations. But see, you have to look at it not as me and my parents. It is basically a cycle. So, for example, let's take somebody who has a son. So, and for his son, he is the Pita. Now, after a while, when the son has a kid, this person also becomes a grandfather. So, and then after the third generation, he gets the idea is that the whatever good thing you have done basically is it's basically a return for 3 generations. Up to 3 generations, you get the thing, and also if you have done something good or great in your life, that actually stands. For example, somebody like Einstein or somebody. It doesn't have, even after several generations, his name is remembered, he still be. So up to 3 generations, the Devatas control. After that, it's basically what you have done. So that's how it works. Then another misconception that people have is, that the Pitru Karya that we do is for the sake of the parent. And I'll tell you where this confusion comes. Typically, I've heard people say, my father passed away so many years ago, but I have brothers in India and they are actually doing the Pitru Karya. And so it means I don't have to do anything here. Now, this is a very, very, very common thing.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, it is not like all the brothers are getting. It's not that. Basically, what you're doing is, each of you is actually discharging your obligation. So, let's say the eldest son is doing the Karya. Now, the parent did not give his love and affection just for the eldest son. He gave the same amount of love and affection to the second son or the third son or the fourth son. So I have received a lot of care and love and affection from my parents. Just because somebody else is doing the Karya, that may actually take care of one part of it. I am still under obligation. So this is not something you do to the parent. This is something you do to discharge your obligation. So just remember that if you look at it like I am doing it as my duty, then it doesn't matter if my brother is doing it or somebody else is doing it. That's how it should be seen as. Now, what is the origin of this feeling? Is that typically if you go back in olden times, there used to be joint families. So in joint families, the brothers used to stay together. So when they were staying together, they would all get together and perform it as one thing. But in order to make sure that there was no mess, one person was kind of, was overseeing the process and doing the thing, but others were helping him. So that's how it started. But then they said that they say that if, for example, if the brothers are in the same city, they typically get together for the father's ceremony or the mother's ceremony, and they do it together. But let's say that they get transferred and one of the brothers has to move out, and he's in a different city and he can't come here. Then it is an obligation for him to do this karya, no matter where he is. And once you have actually started the position, once you have done this separately, then even if you are in the same house, you still have to do, both of you have to do it, separately. So that's how it goes. And because this is something that you are doing towards, your parent, and you are discharging your obligation, not with the. Now, let's talk about.
Excuse me, I have a question, sir.
Sure.
ಸೇಮ್ ನೀವು ಇದೇ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದ್ರಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಈಗ ತಂದೆ ತಾಯಿ ಕಾರ್ಯ ನಾವು ಗಯಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇನ್ನು ಆಮೇಲಿಂದ ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ನನಗೆ. Is it true?
No, that is not true. See, this is what this actually happens. It is a very common thing in Shruti. They call it basically, this is Arthavada. What it does is, it is basically like kind of highlighting the importance of doing it in Gaya. It's kind of giving you motivation to, because going and doing it in Gaya means you have to, there is a lot of expense, there's a lot of planning, it takes effort. But some people may say, I'll do it home, I don't want to do it in Gaya. So to highlight the importance of Gaya, they're saying, if you go do it there, you don't have to do it again. But that is basically to highlight the importance of Gaya, but not, in fact, the common example I always give is, let's say you live in a rented house, and I think I gave this last time too. If you are living in a rented house, you would pay rent for every day you stay there, right? It's as simple as that. So if you look at your body, and this body is basically a house for your jiva or soul to stay. And this is, you didn't bring this with you. It is not your running. This body was given to you by your parents. So, and you're staying in their house. So as long as you're staying in their house, you have to pay the rent. So this concept of, that if you go to Gaya or if you go to Badri or you go to this thing and do this thing, that is only, this is Arthavada, to highlight the importance of doing it there. Not, in fact, there are a lot of, what is in Shastra, which is, for example, if somebody dies in Kashi, they get mukti. This is again to highlight the importance of Kashi, and then, by chance, if you pass away in Kashi, the family members should feel good that, you got moksha. This is, again, Arthavada, only to highlight the importance of a specific yatra sthala and not to say that you don't have an application. Okay. Now let's talk about this Pitra Paksha and what is important and other related topics. If you look at typically the Gregorian calendar, that one that we normally use for or all of this thing, we have 12 months, January to December. The same way, our Hindu calendar also has 12 months. There is a solar calendar and there's a lunar calendar. Solar calendar is followed in some parts of the country. And they talk about Mesha, Vrishabha, Mithuna. So they look at the movement of the sun. But the one that is used mostly for all religious purposes, for events and other things, is the lunar calendar. The lunar calendar, we have Chaitra, Vaishakha, Jesha, Ashada, and so on. So the 6th month in this is Bhadrapada. Bhadrapada is supposed to be a very holy month. So the first half of Bhadrapada, which is Shukla Paksha, people typically do what is called as Proshnapati Bhagavata. So, they listen to Bhagavata. It's supposed to be very holy. Again, that is the period devoted to the Devatas. So if you look at the whole Bhadrapada as a lifetime, the first half is basically before death. So that is not focused on the Devatas. And the second half, or Krishna Paksha of Bhadrapada Masa, which is where we are today right now, that is actually called Pitra Paksha, and that is devoted or focused for the Pitru Devatas. In fact, there is I would say that there was a big, war between Devatas and this thing. A lot of the sages and other people died at this time. So that is the reason why. Anyway, whatever it is, This is a special time, 15 days in a year, which is focused exclusively for Pitrukarya and allowing us, and they say that every single day in this is, the holy day for the Pitrukarya purposes. So typically people offer, tarpana every day. They do a lot of stuff in this time, and this time we don't do any Shubha functions. We don't do any marriages or Upanayanams or anything. This is supposed to be devoted only for Devata Karya, for Pitru Karya, and that is a Pitra Paksha. And that in this time, and that is, it starts with the Purnima, the first day or Krishna Paksha, and ends with the last day, which is Mahavalya Amavasya, which is the last day, and that is there. So this Pitra Paksha is kind of focused or reserved just for the sake of Pitru Devatas and performing Pitru Karya. Now, the second question, I think, which is related to what you asked, Sanjay, is who should we do the Pitru Karya for? In Shastra, they talk of 4 vargas, or it's also called as Dvadasha Pitrus. The 4 vargas are father's side, which is basically father, his father, and his father. So father, grandfather, great grandfather. That is Pitru Varga. Then Matru Varga is basically mother, then father's mother, and father's grandmother. So basically, in other words, my mother, her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law. So in other words, it
The
basically
lineage matches.
it's basically a father,
The
mother,
spouses.
grandfather, grandmother, great grandfather, great. So this is the Matru Varga. Then there is a Mata Mahavarga, which is for the mother's side.
Correct.
So mother's father, mother's grandfather, mother's great grandfather. And then the 4th is Mata Mahi Varga, or mother's mother, her mother-in-law, her mother-in-law. So these 4 are the Vargas, this is what we call as 4, the Chatur Varga. And this, or they also called as the Dvadasha Pitru. So these are the 12 Pitrus whose, thing we should perform every time we do Pitru Karya. I mean, assuming that, the
That is done only during the
yeah, only
not
during
during the annual.
no. Even during identity, you can definitely offer, the tarpana or whatever, to all the 12 brothers. Assuming that, of course, that parents, are not there. If your parents are there, you would be doing it. Again, here, this is a question that comes up more often. Let's say the father has passed away. Then the son has authority or has the right to perform Pitru Karya. There is no ifs and doubts or qualifications. Let's say the father is still alive, but the mother has passed away. If the mother has passed away, then because his father is there, he does not normally have a right to perform the Karya except during Pitra Paksha. So during the Pitra Paksha, the 9th day is called Avidva Navami. This is when the son gets the right to perform the rites for his mother, who is still, Sumangali, because his father is still alive. So that the 9th day in the Pitra Paksha is reserved for ladies who pass away as Sumangalis. So Avidva Navami, which actually happened yesterday.
Right, and then that is even would that be continued even after the
Madhas.
Yeah, this is typically done only during the Pitra Paksha. The son gets the right to perform the thing.
Only till the father is alive.
Yeah, until the father is here. The father passes away, obviously the son has the obligation has to perform
She's
the.
considered as
Okay, now
So
the
then
other.
they don't have any Pitra Pakshas. The women don't have Pitra Pakshas if their husbands pass away.
no, but they will go to the father.
Now, what was the question?
The
Sorry.
question was, if the husband passes away, let's say the wife passes away first, and so she gets that Sumangri category,
Correct.
and then she gets the Pitra Paksha. Even the husband passes away after some time, right? Then she doesn't get that.
No, she doesn't get the special Pitra Paksha, but she gets as part of the father's thing, right? So, for example, today I went and performed. I did it for my father and mother, my grandfather, grandmother, my great grandfather.
Oh, through the father. So
Yeah.
she gets it.
It becomes, yeah, it's no longer a special thing. It becomes part of the mainstream.
It gets covered.
It gets covered under that. So during the normal, there are 2 types of shraddhas that we normally do. One is called Kalika Shraddha, that is when based on the day in which the parent passed away. So it's related to specific Kala, or the Mahalaya Shraddha, which we do during the Mahalaya function. So when we do the Kalika Shraddha, or when a parent has passed away, typically you do it for that parent only. I mean, basically, it's a matter of convenience. But there is nothing in Shastra which says you can't do it for all the 12. You can do for all 12 even during the Kalika Shraddha. But during the Mahalaya Shraddha, it is just not these 12. You have to do for every other, typically you do it for your father's brother, what we call as in Kannada is Dodappa, no, Chikkappa, and then, father's sisters, father's brothers. So everybody on the father's side gets covered in this. And then on the mother's side also, her brothers, her sisters. So this way, there is no, we don't distinguish between father and mother. So parents and their siblings. So the whole extended family is covered during the Mahalaya. So this is the difference between the Kalika Shraddha and the Mahalaya Shraddha, where we actually cover the entire family and the extended family when we do the Mahalaya function. Okay, do you have a question?
No, you were saying about the Pitru Devatas. What are the names and?
Okay, excellent. That was a segue to my next. There are actually 100 ganas of the Pitrus, out of which 7 are supposed to be the most important. Out of these 7, 4 are Murtas and 3 are Amurtas. And this is actually covered in the Harimamsa Purana. In fact, there is a conversation between Markandeya and Sanat Kumara. And Markandeya asks Sanat Kumara the same question, exact same question he asked. So he says, Sapta ete edatam sheshtha swarge pitrugana smritaha chatvara murti mantaha chatraya tesham amurtyaha. So 4 of the, out of the 100, 4 of them are amurtas, 3 are murtas. These are most important ones. The 4 with the manifest or the regular forms are basically Shukla, Angirista, Shushvada, Sorupa. The one without the forms are basically Vairajas, Agnishatva, Bargishara. So these are the ones that we normally perform during the Shraddha. These are the names that you hear. And on top of this, there is 3 other devatas who actually control this. One is Soma or Chandra. Second is Kavyavahana or a form of Agni. And the third is, as you can probably guess, Yamadeva. So Yama is called as Pitrupati. He is the head of all the Pitru devatas. And he also happens to be the sun's, the solar, the thing called sun. His is second son. So the main deities are basically Yama, Soma, Kavyavahana, and these 7 Pitru Devata that we normally. The other question is, okay, there is also, we perform the Devatas Aradhana for Vishya Devatas. Vishya Devatas are basically, again, sons of Yama. There are based on the occasion, we bring in like specific Devata, the Vishya Devata. For example, when we are doing the normal, the annual ceremony, which is then we basically invoke Pururava Ardra. You probably would have heard the name. And say when you're doing the specific, during the Pitra Paksha, then you basically talk about Dhuri and Lochana. In fact, that's the name I heard today when they did in the month. So there are specific Vishya Devatas. These are actually children. These are all children of the Dharma Devatas or Yama Dharma. And they are also regulators of this Pitru Karya. Now the whole thing, the way it works is when you offer Pinda or Tarpana to in this thing with the help of a specific mantra. You see, the power of the mantra is it has the ability to actually the devatas can accept your offering, because once you have the mantra and you do it with sincerity, they are bound to accept that offering, whatever you're giving here. And then they actually go look up where this person is. So let's say, for example, I offer Pinda or Tarpana for my father. They have an obligation or duty to accept it. Then they go look for where he is, in whatever form he is, and they transfer this food or this thing in the form that, for example, if the parent is actually as an animal, then they give the food in the form most appropriate for that animal. If this parent is a human being, he gets it as him. So no matter which state your parent is, if you do it here, with the power of the mantra is so strong that the Pitru Devatas are obliged to take it and then transfer it to the appropriate. Yeah, And because that is the department, so they know where this person is, what he is doing. So they make sure that he or she gets the benefit that the children have offered here.
So kind of a little bit of confusion in my mind now. So he could be born and somebody could be offering us something now.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
If you are eating every day,
Yeah. Basically, what it says is,
So when we are hungry, nobody's giving us. Oh, no, it's
No,
once a
no.
year. This is done only once a year, right? So
ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ.
no, see, okay, I think the way to look at it is, it is basically, what you're getting is basically maybe it could be three reasons, right? One is because of your own past karma.
that is what I believe.
That actually is 90% of what you get. There is also a small fraction which comes from what your children or ancestors in the current birth or previous birth have actually are doing or offering for you. And third is basically gratis, that is from God's grace, out of pity or mercy, He's offering you. So what you are getting is a combination of these things. But God's will is that most of the lion's share of what you get is determined by your own karma. So at the end of the day, there is nothing better than leading a nice, very good life, pious life, and living a very moral and a righteous, following the principles of dharma and satya. There is nothing that comparable to that. That beats everything. Only if you have problems, that's when you look for help from your children or anything. In fact, when we are doing the Garuda Purana talks about that, based on the karma of the thing, when he's showing the Yamamarga, say, if it is a good soul, it's basically almost like a picnic, because you have earned the right. They treat you with respect. They give you food. They give you everything. Whereas if you are a very bad person, you are made to suffer. And then only during the specific, instances of what the masikas, that's when whatever your children are offered, that comes to you as food. But otherwise, most of the time, it's basically a torment. Whereas for a punyaji, for a good, righteous person, it is almost like a picnic. They take it is such a pleasurable thing for them.
The Masika also, like due to like people sometimes make everything in the on the 13th day, right? Like what we did with our father, and then on every month, um, you do just whatever, Swayam or whatever, because due to things are changing, whatever it is. So this monthly doing this for the next 12 months for the soul to reach to the Pitru's position, right? Or the Pitru has the soul would not have reached the Pitru for the 12 months. It has various places that it is going. So if you in the beginning do all the 12 months, are they going to keep a track and then give them like that, or is this only done? It's inconvenient, right now we have the matas and stuff like that.
Okay. First question is, let me take it one step backward and ask the basic question. Why does it take a year? And why are these 12? Okay. Basically, the way the thing works is that the soul takes almost 1 year to reach from the earthly state or the material state and go to the and reach the heavenly state where it is either heaven or hell, naraka, swarga. So it takes 1 year, and in the process, basically the gods have designated 16 stops. There are 16 cities that the departed soul has to pass through, and these 16 cities are timed with the masikas. So we have 12 masikas, and there are 4 other Una masikas. Like there's a Una masika, there's a Tripakshika, and then there's a Una Shan masika, and there's a Una Abdika. So 4 extra plus the 12 masikas constitute 16. So they have timed it so that when the soul reaches the first city, that's the time of the first masika. The second city, second masika, whatever. So, and basically what happens is, in between the cities, the soul gets absolutely no food. If if it is a bad soul, if it's a papi, he gets no food, nothing. So when he comes and he's basically flogged, it's a hard sun. If you see the Garuda Purana, it's a torment, and basically they deserved it, because nobody is doing this out of cruelty. If you look at examples, if you look at some of the movies and see some of the gundas and how they actually, kill people or hurt people, this kind of suffering is meant for those people because by their cruelty, by their, vicious and wicked nature, they have committed a lot of sins and they're being made to pay for it.
So does that mean because you have experienced all that pain and suffering, your karma has washed away because of that punishment?
Oh, no, hold on. Let me first finish the first question, answer the first question before, and I'll definitely answer that. So what happens is in this, so when he arrives at the first station, then he's so hungry, his family saying, have my kids given me anything? So if the children have done some tarpana or whatever here and done the masika shraddha, that is given to the soul. So that is the reason why they say it is important to perform masikas. Now, the right choice, the correct choice, and the best choice is to do it on the exact date. But what happens is, out of Pinda Pradana and Tarpana both we have to done on the correct date and the correct thing. There is a specific, all the masikas have to be done on the date, exact date. The Una masikas they have given some latitude, saying, for example, this has to be plus or minus 3 days, plus or minus 5 days. So we give you some latitude. So the best choice is to give the Tarpana or the Pindadana on the exact date. Because as you imagine, let's say somebody, your father or mother has passed away. So when they go to the specific station or the city, they get that specific food. It's good food, hot food, freshly prepared. Now, for whatever reasons, if you cannot do it, most of the time people take the convenience way out, especially if somebody, parent is in India, they perform all the 12 masikas in one shot, and then they go back for the annual thing. This is also, this is the devatas are so kind and merciful, they allow this. But what happens is basically what the parent is getting is the stale food that you offered 12 months back, because they say, what, this is what your kids gave you. Look at, you took so much care of them, you did so much for them, but this is what they have given you. They've given you like stale food, but they get it. So the idea is that to do it on the day that you perform this. Now, to come back to your question, see, where the whole system works is we have accumulated so much of karma. In fact, one Shruti Vakya says that in one janma, I have accumulated enough karma for 10 janmas. This is assume that, I basically, take $1 loan and the interest on that $1 loan is $10. So by the end of the first year, my loan is $11. I say for payback one. So in each birth, you're accumulating so much of backlog that the gods have, they have a terrible choice to make, because if they give you the complete backlog of sins, you just die on there. So what they do is they mercifully they regulate that, they give you portions so that you can digest enough of the karma. But then what happens is because they're doing it in portions, then that one, so basically what karma, what you're experiencing now, may be the result of karma you did maybe 10, 15 births ago. The whole thing has a lag effect. And the second part is what they do is some part of the karma, so they try to burn the karma through spending your time either in heaven or hell. Let's take, suppose it's a papi or a bad thing. So they put him in hell, so they try to burn as much as possible of the karma, but they still leave some portion behind so that you experience it. So, for example, if I have been a bad person, I go around breaking people's legs and all that. Sure enough, in my next birth, I'm probably born lame, or I'm probably born as a invalid person who's wheelchair born, because the karma I did in my previous birth. So they leave some karma for people to experience on earth only for two reasons. One, because they cannot burn the whole thing at home, and second, they want people to observe and learn that there is a consequence of a bad action. So typically people are able to say that if somebody is suffering now, then we always say karma. So basically, this is the bad karma you accumulated. So the whole idea is to kind of caution you and warn you against doing bad things and trying to kind of lead you to lead a life of righteousness and dharma. So I hope I answered your question. Any other question?
I have one question, sir.
Sure.
ಈಗ ಮಹಾಲಯ ಅಮಾವಾಸ್ಯೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಿತೃಗಳಿಗೆ ತರ್ಪಣ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ತಾಯಿ ಅಥವಾ ತಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾಗ ತರ್ಪಣ ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು ತರ್ಪಣ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That's my doubt.
For the within 1 year.
Okay. No, actually, the way it works is for up to the first 13th day, absolutely nothing. In fact, they say that, let's say somebody dies, and on the 6th day, the other parent dies. You cannot do the karma of the other parent until the first parent's decision. But after the 13th day, there is nothing says you cannot do the thing. In fact, that is why if that was the case, you would not be able to do the masikas also, right? If common sense logic. If we say for 1 year you can't do anything, then you won't be able to do the masika also. So you have to do the masikas and you have to do the pitra. But the question is, there is some logic to it. Whatever, let's say for example, let's say my mother has passed away. So for in the middle, let's say after 6 months, Pitra Paksha comes. I cannot offer this thing for her. Because she is still on
That was
earth.
the question. That was the question.
Yes,
Because she hasn't reached
Not because it
she has
takes
not
1 year.
reached the Pitru's
Correct.
time.
Yes.
1 year takes for the soul to reach the Pitrasthan.
Yes.
So even if I offer now, it's not going to reach her. So the next year I can offer.
But if the father is gone during the same period, you can offer that for the father.
No.
Because it is-
No. Any soul. Father.
Again, ಮೂರ್ನಾಲ್ಕು ವರ್ಷ ಆಗೋಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ತಂದೆ ಸತ್ತ.
Tanmay after 1 year you can do whatever.
Correct, yes.
After 1 year. So it takes 1 year for the soul to reach either Naraka or Swarga. Okay. Any other questions?
That was the.
Yes.
Okay. Then I also want to talk about what is this concept of Vishnupada, Gaya, and all that. So what happened is there was Asura called Gayasura, and then this actually comes in the Purana. And so Vishnu had to go and kill him, but he also had some pious nature. So at the time of dying, he asked for a vara from Paramatma, saying that anyway you're killing me, I'm dying, but can this kshetra become holy, and can this kshetra be the one that people have to come? So this is why he wanted his name to be remembered, and so Vishnu gave him that vara, and that is why even today, no matter where you do the Shraddha, we always think saying, let it be equal to doing it in Gaya. And the idea is that sometime during your lifetime, you have to go to Gaya and perform the Shraddha. And the Rupa of Paramatma in Gaya is basically, there are two forms. One is the Vishnupada, the father through which he actually stamps the Asura. And there is a form called Gaya Gadadhara. He has the Gada, and that is a form which came with it. So normally, people worship the Gaya Gadadhara, and that is where you're supposed to do. And in remembrance of this, whenever we offer the pinda or thing, we keep the Vishnupada and do it on top of that because of the Gayasura and the vara that Vishnu gave him. So that is why the Vishnupada is very important. Okay. Then there is also another very mistaken notion, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but people normally think, if I do Shraddha once a year, and if I do it on, say, the Mahalaya Paksha, I'm done. That is okay. Doing it in the annual ceremony and doing it in Mahalaya Paksha is like getting the bare minimum. This is the bare minimum. It's like, I take a loan on my credit card and I say, it's like 25,000, let's say I blow up $5,000. The credit card is not going to ask me for this. They say, you have to pay a minimum of $25. I pay the $25 thinking that I'm very smart, but what has happened is I'm actually accumulating debt. So doing it, in fact, our Shastras talk about Shannavati Shraddha. Shan means 6. Navati means 90. So Shannavati actually means 96. So our Shastra says that for you to be completely rid of Pitru Runa, you have to perform either the Shraddha or at least the Tarpana on 96 days. this comes as usually a shock to most people. 96 days.
We will be alive 96 years after they pass away.
No, 96 days.
96 days.
96 days.
Yes.
96 days in a
And
year.
then a year. Oh, 96 days in a year.
Yes, every year.
No, 96.
90
90,
ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ ಎರಡು ಅಂತಂದು 48 ವರ್ಷ ಬದುಕಿರ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು.
ಇಲ್ಲ, 96 days in the year.
Year.
Yeah.
And the way it works is, for example, Pitra Paksha, all the 15 days is counted. And there is something called, Vetikati Yoga, Amavasa, Sankramana. There is actually a list of days on which you're supposed. So these are the 96 days on which you're supposed to perform, if not the whole full-fledged Shraddha, at least the Tarpana of your parents. That is why it is called Shanavati Shraddha. Okay? And if you don't do this, basically then you're accumulating your debt. So doing this 96 days means you're completely, it's like paying off the credit card bill in full. If you don't, you're doing carry forward, you're going to pay interest on that somewhere down the line, in one form or the other. Then other thing which people normally ask is, my parents have passed away, then if I don't do this, what's the big deal? What happens? And believe me, this is not theory, this is something I have seen in person. This is, the Pitra Karya is one thing which actually affects 3 generations at the same time. And the logic is this, I'm doing it for my parents, so by doing this Karya, I make sure that they get Sadgati. Because I have the body that my parents gave, I get the blessing, so I get blessed with health and everything. And the other piece is my children. And what happens is, let's say I don't do this Karya and I actually cause pain to the Pitru Devatas. And they get furious and they curse you. They say, you dishonored your parents, so we will make you suffer as a parent. So what happens is, right in front of your eyes, you will see your children falling sick, having accidents or miscarriages, and all kinds of things that happen to your children and cause you a lot of pain because you did not, you cause pain to your parents. You are getting, you get pain as a parent, and not only that, because this is the body my parents gave me, and I am dishonoring them. I get sickness, I get illness. In fact, most of the cases you see of if somebody is having major illness like cancer or anything, it can be traced back to some form of Pitru Shapa or them not having done the right thing with their parents. And this is something which, and then we're doing this very cleverly because I am willing to take suffering, but most people don't want their children to suffer. So this is a nice way of motivating people to make sure that they honor their parents, because then their children will be happy. They can see. And this, by the way, this is written in Shastras, and I have personally seen this in so many cases where a person has actually neglected this Karya, and they are seeing their children suffer. And then once they started doing this on thing, then the things took a completely new turn, and there was a almost 360 and 180 degree turn in so this is something which you have to be very careful, and that is the reason why it's very important for us to perform Pitra Karya. And this is, by the way, this is actually a double-edged sword. And let me explain what. For example, let's say I want to do Annadana for say 100 people. If I do that, I get punya or merit. But for whatever reason I can't do it, nobody is going to curse me. It's not a papa. Same thing with, for example, let's say I perform Sandhya, it's other way around. Let's say I perform Sandhya regularly. If I do it, there is no merit because I am supposed to do it. But if I don't do it, there is papa. Whereas this one, if I do Pitra Karya, I get punya. If I neglect it, I get papa. It works both ways. And this is a double-edged sword, and like Ekadasi and other things. So that is the reason why it makes this. It's very important that you understand your obligations, your Pitru Runa, and make sure that you are discharging your obligations to your parents. Now, any other questions? Is there any on the internet?
Okay.
Not many people on the internet.
It's working.
Where is one testing?
played later also.
Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
What happens to the soul immediately after? Because in some of the Vedas that I've read, someone has said that the soul will immediately enter into the womb of the next species, whether it's a human being or whether it's
No, that's not true. No, actually, the very same question was asked by, was asked by Markandeya, was asked by the Shaunaka rishis to the Suta Mahaprabhu, and he actually explains this. And he says that in almost 99, 1 in a million case happens like that. That is, when because of a karma prachurya or there is some other devata thing, or this person has done so much of good or has done so much of bad that there has to be immediate punishment or immediate reward. It's almost like a 1 in million case where this person, just as he's dying, somebody else is, giving childbirth, and then they transfer the soul from this particular body. But that happens very, very, very once in 1 in a million. But almost with all the balance, like 999,999, that the soul has to go through this,
1 year.
1 year through the go through the 16.
She's saying what, 20 years? So 1
10
year.
years for the purpose. Yeah.
No. Okay, what she says is that typically it takes 1 year for the soul to reach, the thing, so heaven or hell. And then there is a period where they're actually, you spend some time in heaven or in hell paying for your things here, and normal average is for typically 20 years for the soul to come back. So you have, and then the other question that I think people have is, why do we do this? For example, annual Shraddha. The way it works is the time is all relative. Einstein said that, but your Shastra said it long time back. 1 year for us is actually basically 1 day for the devatas. So for the Pitrugana, for all the celestial beings, and so 6 months for us is like for example our the Uttarayana is their daytime, our Dakshinayana is their night time. So 1 year for us is 1 day for them. So if we offer basically Shraddha for our parents every one year, that means in the celestial count they are getting food every day. So that's how this whole equation works. Okay, any other question?
So that at the time of death, what should the soul do? If it's able to remember, it's a remember
The
something.
smart thing to do, if you can do it, is at the time of dying, you just say Narayana. Think of
It's
the
so
Lord.
difficult to
Yeah.
know because who knows death?
Yeah,
Who
unfortunately,
knows death?
most of.
It's so difficult.
And let me give you an example. Bhishmacharya. He's a wonderful, he's basically from the Vasugana. He's part of the Ashtavasus. He was born and, his lifetime. And then, in the war, he was wounded, he was sleeping on the, bed of arrows. And then he actually prayed to Lord and he did this Vishnu Savarada. And then Krishna appeared before him. And then the Pandavas came and then they had this whole Shanti Parva where, Yudhishthira got a lot of dharma knowledge from Bhishmacharya. And then even Bhishmacharya came in with Vishnu Sahasranama, the holiest and the most precious jewel of Shastra, Vishnu Sahasranama. So, and then after these people left, he was actually doing Smarana of Vishnu until the last minute. And then he suddenly remembered, I am a Vasu, I have to go back to my Vasu state, and then he died. So at the time of the instant of the death, he was actually thinking of the Vasu state, so he went there. In fact, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whatever you're thinking at the time of death, that's what God moves you to the. For example, in Bhagavata, there's the example of Jadabharata. He was a very great king, very great soul, but he became attached to a deer. And then, so at the time of death, also he was thinking, oh my God, if I die, what will happen to my deer? Will some tiger or lion eat my deer? So deer, he was reborn as a deer. So if you can think of, if you have your senses and if you can time it, if you know the exact time of death, then there's nothing like saying Narayana, Narayana, Narayana at the time of death.
Can astrology predict the time of death? And
Astrology
then will
can.
that gain reverse because we don't know what it is?
No, actually, that's a good question. I don't think we knew it was a good question. There is actually a story in the Padma Purana. They said that at one point in the Krita Yuga, the first Yuga, astrology was such an exact science that people were able to predict to the last minute, to the last second. So what happened was there was one very famous astrologer who was able to do this, and he knew that the next 12 years there's going to be famine or whatever. So the Navagrahas decided to test his knowledge. So they went to his home and to ask him questions about astrology and see what kind of person he was. He actually recognized them and he offered them food. And then he actually, put some stuff in their food so that they were all kind of drugged. So they fell asleep. And then so he created a mandala and said, in 12 years, Ravi would have moved to this Rashi, Shani would have moved to this Rashi. So he moved their bodies to those specific Rashis and avoided the famine for his country. The gods, on the one hand, they were very pleased with his knowledge, but then they realized that this is a very dangerous thing. So they gave a shapa that in astrology can only be accurate to an extent. Falari sujayanti manishina kovakta taratamyasa tamekam vedasam vina. So grahachara phala can only be sujayanti. Astrologers can only indicate, in this time. Kovakta taratamyasya kimekam vedasam vina. So the only person who can say with exact precision is Vedasava, Brahmadeva. So Brahmadeva is the only one who can say that, so and so person is going to die on this date, at this time, at this second. So nobody else can do that. Only Devatas can do it, but obviously they're not going to help you to tell you. But our Shastra, it's a good question. They also give you an indication. They say, for example, if you close your ears, you can actually hear the sound, internal sound. It could be like an ocean or it could be like rainfall. That is basically the prayer that is why Lord Vaidya is making to Paramatma. If, for example, some reason you don't hear that, then they say that you can know that you're going to die within 11 months. They say typically, you can't look at the sun during the afternoon, during the noon time when he's right about it's a blazing sun. But let's say somebody is able to see and actually sees the sun like a moon. There's no brightness. He can be sure that he is going to die in 10 months. So there are a lot of indications that are there in Shastra, which kind of tell you that basically that your death is approaching. Do good things. Do dharma, do punya karyas, and accumulate punya. So it's a long-winded answer to a short question. But astrology can only Phalani Grahacharani Suchayanti Manishwar. We can only indicate, saying that this time period you could have health problems or you could have some kind of issues, but nobody can say precisely this minute, this exact date, unless it is some heavenly being.
That's what they say, keep on saying Narayana whenever you are.
Practice it.
Yeah, keep
Practice
on
it.
practicing so it
Practice
comes
it.
out.
In Tulsi Ramayana, Tulsi Das says, when I take my breath, I say Rama because I don't know if I'm going to leave my breath. When I leave my breath, I'm going to say Rama because I don't know I'm going to take the next breath in. So that is, he says that's how he does Rama Nama Japa because he's not sure when his breath is going to stop. Any other question? Anything? Anybody? If not, I want to thank you for this is, as I said, I cannot over stress the importance of this. This is a very, very important thing. And people, people people are normally we think that if we propitiate the god, if we go to temple, if we do this, all that is fine. But remember that is only one side of the equation. And let me give a practical example. Let's say I go to school, right? And I have six subjects that I have to take. I have to pass in each of them for me to go to the next grade, right? I mean, I could get an A plus in one, I can get an A plus in all five, but if the sixth one I'm failed, then I'm failed and I can't go. So, but what I'm saying is that there are specific things, duties, so you cannot overcompensate one area by doing something else in a different area. You can do a lot of good things. That's right. But there are some prescribed duties that you have to perform. And by not doing that, you are going to be penalized. You could be, Mother Teresa, you could be as a very noble soul, but if you are not doing, it's like, as I said, the subject, you could get an A plus, you could get a gold medal in 5 topics, but in the sixth one, if you fail, you don't go to the next grade. It's as simple as that. So we have to be sure, we have to understand our Varnashra dharmas and make sure that we are doing the bare minimum, if not the full-fledged in each of the categories. Did you have a question?
Yeah, the same question that I had said earlier. So the Pitrus yeah, are not really our ancestors.
No.
Like what you said.
No, Pitrus are ancestors, Pitru Devatas are the celestial beings.
So the Pitru Devatas. So it is when we do the Pitra Paksha, so we're offering it to the Devatas.
Yes,
They in turn will find your ancestors and give them that benefits.
Yeah, actually, it is one slight correction. When for example, I do it to Pitru Devata, it does not stop with Devata. Basically, we do Devata, and within the Devata, Bharati, Ramanukya, there is a specific form of the Lord. For example, let's say Vasu. Vasu Rupa, I do puja to Vasu, but in the Vasu, there is a Pratyumna form of Lord. If I do it for Rudra, for Vasu Rudra, so for Rudra, there is a form of Lord called Sankarshana. If I do it for Aditya, so just to correct the thing, we are doing the prayer to the Pitul Devatas, but it doesn't stop there. Through the Pitul Devatas, there is a form of Mukhya Prana, and within the Mukhya Prana, there is a form of the Lord. So ultimately, it has to reach, Akashat Patitam Toyam Vithat Sadhanam, Sarvadeva Namaskara, Keshavam Pratigati. It has to reach the Lord. Only then, it becomes meaningful. So we do.
So although you're doing it for the Pitru Devatas during the 15th, right, then, but also you're invoking your own Pitrus during that time. Also,
Yes.
Correct? You're
Yes.
doing that parallelly.
Yeah.
So
No, basically you are doing Pitru Devatas, puja to the Pitru Devatas, saying I'm doing it for the sake of my father or my mother or whoever it is.
so you're kind of giving them the address.
You're giving them the intended recipient. You don't know the address. You're saying, yeah, you're giving the intended recipient, but you're praying to them. And so they will, accept. If it is done with sincerity, if it's done with devotion, they will accept it and, make sure it reaches the right person. So,
Are there corrections for people who have not done it in the past?
okay, there is a correction. Basically,
Somebody didn't know this and then.
yeah, there is something called Prayaschitta. See, Bhagavata defines it very clearly. Prayaschitta has two components to it. One is there should be sincere repentance. There should be sincere sorrow in your mind, or sincere, feelings that I neglected myself. So that is the first part of the thing. The second part of the deal is you should not do the same thing again.
Correct.
So it is not saying that
Keep on going
yeah,
back.
exactly that I repent, I do prayaschitta, then I go back and do the same thing again. No, prayaschitta, for prayaschitta to be meaningful, there should be sincere repentance, and there should be and you should not do the thing again. There's something, and then you have to do prayaschitta. Prayaschitta is basically for each of this. For example, you can actually go to Gaya and let's say somebody has never done this in their whole life. They can go to Gaya or Badri and do this Pitru Homa or there is Prayaschitta Homas and Homas. All of this. See, our Shastras and scriptures are very liberal. They understand that we have weaknesses that we can sometimes go astray. So they always give you a way of coming back. It's like you miss a route, there is always a way of getting back to the highway. They give you that highway, but you have to take that, the opportunity given to them. So there has to be sincere repentance, and you should never make the same thing again, and then you should go perform the prayaschitta. So any mistake can be corrected that way.
So can you do it without, before making the prayaschitta, you can make the thing and then go back and do the prayaschitta?
Yeah, you can basically say, okay,
I am sorry.
I have sinned so far, but I will sin no further. I'm putting a stop to this right now. From tomorrow, I'm going to turn a new leaf. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do sincerity. And then when I get a chance, I will do the prayaschitta to make up for the lost. Definitely, if you do it with sincerity, if you do it with humbleness, if you do it with devotion, it is accepted. There is a thing in Shastra called Na Deva Doshanam Vritha. Basically, if you please the gods, it is never a waste. It never goes waste. They will always find ways of rewarding you. Na devatoshanam vrita. And it also makes other way around. Devatoshanam na vrita. In other words, let's say I'm doing something, I'm doing for just sake for publicity and I'm doing for glamour or whatever. If this is something that doesn't please gods, in Kannada we say, ಇದು ಮಾಡೋದು ದೇವರು ಮೆಚ್ಚಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ. So if you do something which does not please the God, then it's a waste. You could, I know, I could.
You may want to do it, availability is there, but the practicality might not be there. Like you have to find some pujari or shastri guru who's able to help you, like a brahmana,
Yeah.
knows those mantras, and the availability of those people might not be there. Anarkula.
So here again, you're doing the injustice to God, because He is such a Karunamai that if your repentance is sincere and if the prashita agni, fire is burning in your heart, that I did this, and if it's burning you, then He will find a place. He will find a way for you to take care of it. So don't underestimate His karunya. He will definitely find a way for you to make amends if your repentance is sincere. And if if that repentance is kind of burning you up and you're really feeling, He will find a way of making it happen. So, end of the day, it is His karunya, His mercy that is sustaining us. So, we say Anyatha sharanamasi tvameva sharanamama tasmat karunya bhavena raksha janardana. Papa karma, papa sambhava, trayama kripaya sharanagata sada. Anyatha sharanamasi tvameva sharanam. So basically, you're saying I'm a papatma, so but you are my Lord and you are my only sole refuge. If you do it with sincerity, He will, it's like a drowning person, He will lend a hand to pull you out of the pool.
One question. Now my father did not have a son, and we are all three sisters. I'm the oldest one. I always feel that, is there any way that daughters can do something for the?
No, our Shastras prescribe two ways of doing that. One is, you may not be able to do it directly, but you can always hire a priest or you can always hire somebody to do that. And the second thing which you may not know is if you have a son, your son can do that. In fact, they call it Davitra. Davitra has the highest right after the sons. The daughter's son, Davitra, can do the even though his father is still alive, he can still do it because this is through a special provision made in Shastra. So the daughter can, she cannot do it, but her son can do it, or she can find, or her husband can do it, or she can find a priest who can do it. So all that is needed, there has to be a will. If there is a will, there is a way.
Same, I have a question. ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಲೇಡಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಾರೆ 2-3 ವರ್ಷ. ಅವರ ಕರ್ಮ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಏನೋ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಇರೋರ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗತ್ತಾ? ನಾವ್ ಯಾರು ಅಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದಾ?
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. Just to go back to the question, he's saying that somebody died 2 years back or 3 years back. The karma, first of all, if the karma is not performed properly, that soul becomes a preta. That soul does not go to heaven or hell; it's still lingering around it. So, Buddha Teshta, whatever you see happening is because of that. Or, even if that person is not physically, that ghost is not harming you, the devatas are so angry with this family that you see people falling sick, you see accidents, you see sickness, you see a whole lot of misfortune visiting that family because they did not do the right thing by that woman. So in this case, somebody can actually step up to the plate, as they say, and do it on there are mantras, there are ways of doing for a past thing, and then in fact there is a story in the Bhagavata that there was a person who he died and then he got this pretatva, and then so he visited his grandson, and his grandson actually read the Bhagavata on his behalf and cured his grandfather of the pretatva. So there are ways and means. you have to consult the right nice priest and figure out what is typically there's going to be a Prayaschitta Homa, and then somebody has to go to Gaya and do that. If you go to do Gaya and do the Shraddha there, most of these things get wiped out. That is going to Gaya is like a Hail Mary, I'm using football term, but
Yeah.
it
Right.
basically it trumps everything. So
I think that answered most of the question.
okay, let me end with the sincere request that whoever is here or whoever is on the internet listening to this, please understand your obligations as a son or as a daughter and make sure you discharge those obligations. Otherwise, you will see bad things happening to your kids right in front of them. And this is not theory. I'm not trying to scare anybody,
Yeah.
but please, this is the Shastras actually they say that, and then there's also very good benefit to doing this. And there's a wonderful statement in the Purana which says, Pita dadati satputran godhanani pitamaha dhanadata bhavetsopi yastasya prapitamaha datyati vipulam anyajam vrittistu prapitamaha tripta shraddhena te sarve tattva puttasa vanchitam. Saying the father, if you do the karma for the father, he blesses you with good children who listen to you, who do well in life, who have good character. The grandfather gives you a lot of material wealth and prosperity. The great grandfather gives you health, food, and other things. So by propitiating your ancestors, there is nothing that you cannot achieve. In fact, in the Garuda Purana, in one place, when this guy visitors, Brahma advises, the Rishi saying, he tells him that there is nothing beyond the power of the Pitru Devatas. So anything that you want in life, they will grant it to you. And because what happens is most of the time we are focused on the Devatas, we ignore the Pitru Devatas. By contrast, if you now do puja to them, they reward you much quicker in a much more timely fashion, in much more quantity. That's how it works. So I'm sincerely requesting everybody here and on the internet who's seeing this, please understand your obligations as a son or a daughter and make sure you do it according to Shastra. Most importantly, do it with sincerity. Now, don't do it as something something as an obligation or as something you have to do. They say that the reason why it's called Shraddha is Shraddha. Do it with Shraddha or sincerity. Shraddha in the word is the Shraddha. So Shraddha is a sincerity, and more, as I said in the beginning, look back to what you have done for your children, and then look back in the mirror and say, my parents or my grandparents must have done this for me, so let me do the right thing by them. So with this, I end. Sri Krishna Arpanam.
Okay. Thank you very much.